Hi, my name's Charles McClintock from Sumitomo Chemical Australia. Our herbicide Valor, which is a Group 14, formerly Group G herbicide, is registered for use as a spike for mixing with non-selective herbicides and also for summer cropping and fallow weed control. One of the key attributes of Valor is its low water solubility, which means improved rain fastness and reduced leaching through the soil profile, keeping the herbicide in the zone required to achieve optimal efficacy. This low solubility, however, means that the product is mixed into suspension rather than dissolved and sprayed as a soluble mix. This means that after spraying has completed, that the suspension can settle out and aggregate or accumulate in various parts of the sprayer, therefore causing potential for contamination for subsequent sprays. It is for this reason that we recommend All Clear DS as our preferred product for cleaning out sprayers and spraying equipment.
Hi, I'm Graham Hardwick from Agnova Technologies. We're here today to look at decontamination and cleaning of spray rigs. We'll be walking around this JD behind us looking at the key points and key areas which need to be focused on to have a good clean rig, and one that's not going to cause any issues with crop damage from going from one crop to the next, but also importantly to look at the MRLs and the potential MRLs you could be breaching by not cleaning and decontaminating correctly. The other point is we need to look at OH&S. Today we're going to look at good spray rig hygiene. We're also going to look at the key capture points on this machine and also talk about PPE. All Clear originally was developed in the UK for cleaning out spray equipment and also manufacturing facilities. In 2006, Agnova brought All Clear to Australia for Australian farmers to use for cleaning out their spray equipment. 2,4-D can be a real issue in some crops where crops are very sensitive to 2,4-D damage. We've shown, and on this graph you can see here, that All Clear DS takes out 98% of the residue out of the tank and out of the hoses. As we'll cover later on today, you'll see that filters are a key component and a key area where we can get contamination. This photo shows how All Clear DS will clear far superior to just using straight water. On sticky combinations like Hammer and Valor mixed with glyphosate, All Clear DS will give you a better result than any other tank cleaner on the market. I'm here today with Craig Day from Spray Safe and Save. Craig's a long-term grain grower and also a spray contractor. So we'll have a walk around this 4940 and just pick out some key points that need to be addressed when you're decontaminating a spray boom.
Yeah, and for me, one of the most important things that growers can do is in the field, make use of the freshwater tank. Before you come back to where you do your cleaning out, try and pull this freshwater tank in 3 bites. And that will basically triple rinse the machine, leave any residue, the bulk of residue in the paddock, so you can then come back and start that cleaning process. I always treat these freshwater tanks as though they're contaminated. And if we do put some cleaning agent through the freshwater tank, it means as we drag that through the sprayer, we're getting it on the other side of those taps. So any dead ends where chemistry has come back against, it's a really good opportunity to get some real problem areas. I've seen a lot of spray jobs go wrong because there was contamination in this because a one-way valve's gone wrong or it's bled back through the system.
Yep. Or it's been contaminated when it's been filled.
Yep, in the transfer of pipes over here, yeah. Yep. So we're going to take a bit of a walk around. Let's have a look.
Okay.
Let's go under.
Let's go.
Righto.
So Craig, underneath this machine, what are we looking at? What are the key critical points that we should be looking at when we're cleaning and decontaminating a spray rig?
Well, basically, when we're looking here, we've got induction coming in through here with chem and fresh water through a filter up in, and then we've got the tank sitting above us. We've got some dead end areas here which we need to consider. So in a decontamination process, I would drain the pump, make sure we've got all that clean, paying attention to where material is going to hang in hoses. We're going to have to put a fair bit of fresh through this system to get that clean there. If we look in under here also, we've got a dead end region here on the freshwater tank, which would be another trap area because that's got access to the chem side of it. Always consider that these sprayers underneath here, there's chemical all over this anyway because it's been out in the field. So safety first, put some gloves on, goggles on when you're under here because any of that dirt falling down is going to have chemistry in it and that can create some irritations to the eye. But Anywhere where chemicals gone in this thing, we've got to chase cleaning material through it.
So Craig, given that this is part of the chem transfer system, should we be triple rinsing this filter and cleaning this filter every time as well?
For sure, and I'd also pull the body of the filter out and soak it in some of the all clear to get that out of there, and make sure that there's no stuff embedded in the bottom of the cap, you know, where it's sort of running. So looking at that and any edges and crevices within that system. So with our fresh water side of the sprayer, and this doesn't matter whether you're running the sprayer, particularly if you're buying a second-hand sprayer, is treat the thing as though it's fully contaminated. So treat that fresh water tank, get it right. Never assume your one-way valve is working, because if they migrate back, you'll actually be putting contaminated material into the spray tank, into the fresh tank, and then back into the spray tank when you use the tank again.
With potential crop damage or MRL issues.
And you see it, like people will have a damage after the second load, and it could be after they've pulled some fresh in or tried to do something, and then they've contaminated the sprayer, and it doesn't gel with what's happened with the sprayer. Okay, well obviously with our boomline filters here, we've got issues of trapping material at the bottom, so we need to pull those out. We'll be cleaning the inner with our cleaning solution. And also paying attention to where these bungs go in the bottom, because they're a really good trap area for material, and it can really embed in there like concrete nearly, and then it's an area for that chemistry to come back out. This is a trap. The more you pull these filters apart, the more you're going to have O-ring issues, so you need spare O-rings, you know. Especially on a filter like this. We've taken this one off. We put it back on. We need to walk back here with water coming out of the sprayer just to make sure all our O-rings are sealed, because you won't see this one leaking from drive. We can look down in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of rubbish in the bottom.
You can see all the rubbish in the bottom, okay. Other areas of concern of any of these sprayers, well obviously this is an inch plumb sprayer, so when we're doing the decontamination and flushing out, we will have the pressure up a bit. We want to get some water flowing through these pipes. These are big pipes, so you know, areas like this, we want plenty of cleaning agent to go through that, so you want the sprayer under a fair bit of load. We'll come to the decontamination process probably a bit more detail later, but all these taps, I'd be actuating them, just rolling them around into the cleaning solution, so we're getting both sides of it. Okay, on there.
Okay, Craig, we've moved out on the boom now. What are the key points we should be looking at here with the nozzles?
Okay, well, out here at the boom, let's start here with the dead ends. So any material that's left in the sprayer can settle. These dead ends are a real trap area. So depending on formulation type, your SCs, dry flow, like wettable granules and all that, can tend to aggregate here, especially when you've got an area from the last nozzle to that point there. So pulling the caps off, making sure we've got no residue stuck in there, and flushing the boom to get rid of that gross residue before we even start the actual cleaning process. In there. When we do a full decontamination, we've got the material going through the spray. We'll decontaminate the nozzle we were using, but with this All Clear's detergents and that in it, now at that stage, while still got cleaning agent, we need to rotate all those nozzle bodies. Coming out along the boom, we've got our valve sections out here for the different sections. We've got 3 sections here in this bank. And there is another dead end area there, so lots of flush water going through. This is really critical to get that. Now when you're doing that flushing, bring the pressure up. Don't just flush at 2 bar. We want to flush this sprayer up around 4.5, 5 bar. So we've got lots of fluid going through this. It's inch plumb, there's lots happening here. So we've got to make sure we've got a lot of friction water.
And there's a lot of volume as well.
If we have trouble getting the end caps off here, as a minimum, drop this end nozzle.
Better still probably fit valves at the
taps.
end.
For the cost of the taps, this could save you a lot of drama, in that situation. I'll just ease that off. As we look in here, the importance of rolling those around, because we've got a build-up of dirt, but also there is some residue of chemical there. So I tend to, while the cleaning agent's going through and you're doing that flush, would be walking along and rotating these around and holding them at the different positions, okay? Again, having some spares here for O-rings when you go back together. The other thing I'd pay once I've got that off is let's pay a little bit of attention to our diaphragm check. And if people have left, atrazine and diuron and stuff like that in the sprayer overnight, it'll really start to build up in here. And that's the trap area then. That's where your group Bs are going to get caught then, and then you'll potentially pull them out of these areas.
So that's something you should crack off every time.
Oh,
yep.
Yep.
Take out, have an
Yep.
inspection.
And we've got that whole body off there, and you can see how much fluid that just retained there
Yeah.
when I pulled that off. It
Yep.
just kept running from that point. So there. So when we are in the cleaning process, and we're talking about these motor valves here, which are our section controls, we've got the sprayer running. Turn sections off so that we're at 5 bar. We've got it running up. Then we want to turn sections off to pulse these lines a bit to get all this pipe moving. You know.
Yep.
So we've got an 80 mesh filter there, I suppose. It's got a build-up of scum material on there. We have got boom line filters on this sprayer. If they're not blocking up, sometimes I question, do we need these? But if there's issues with water, like glassy bore water and that, sometimes that's just a further protection.
Right.
These O-rings don't last forever. They get a bit soft and they draw a bit of chemistry into them. Now this is a little air induction jet, so we should be able to pull the back out of this jet. And obviously it's a big job to clean all these, but there'll be material in here that needs to be considered. Now these nozzles also have a little O-ring in them, but you've got a contamination, area there. So I'd be pulling those, soaking those in some all clear, a dilution in the jug. A little bit careful about soaking nozzles like this in a straight bleach solution, because I have corrupted nozzles overnight. I've left them in bleach and I've blown them apart.
Okay.
The more you clean that with the cleaning agent, the more it's going to work for you, as opposed to getting trapped up with dirt and being a real drama.
Okay, Craig, we're standing here at the end of the boom for the fence line jet.
The solenoid for the fence line jet's taking it out of the main boom line, and there's 6 metres of pipe there that's potentially, if you do not activate that during a cleaning process, could still have the old chemistry in it. Not only that, is you might think you flush the boom.
Yep.
If you haven't activated that and we fold up, can that potentially migrate back if there's a fault in this system, or it's just an access point? So go out spraying next time, we haven't flushed that, you turn that on, there's going to be material that's going to end up in the wrong crop.
So Craig, we're here at the pivot point in the boom, and I've seen some situations where this has been a damaging point for hoses. Do you want to run through this one with us?
Yeah, well look, hoses don't last forever, so if they lose their integrity, they can actually delaminate, and you can get chemistry getting stuck between the inner layer and the outer sheaths. And if that's been acted, it'll crack, and then that material can just migrate around. I've seen hoses blister, all sorts of things happen with hosing. Now, periodically look along your sprayer, because everything when the sprayer's new has been zip tied up and all nice, but as the pipe loses some of its integrity, it can tend to squash in and lead to a bit of a restriction. And if that's at these pivoting points, that's a working area where that hose can really get degraded on the inside, and you cannot tell. So with an older sprayer with hoses starting to degrade a bit, I'm very careful about, after a decontamination process, before I go spraying, is to flush some more fresh water through that sprayer. Okay, so what we're going to have a look at now, we're going to have a look at the hopper, and before we start on that, we'll talk about a bit of PPE. So I'm going to start playing with the hopper here now. So I've put my Quick and Safe apron on here, which gives me full protection. Now, if you are decontaminating a spray unit for going into a sensitive crop, depending on the chemistry and the crop you're going into, consider that all the outside surfaces of this sprayer have got chemistry on them as well. My preference when I start looking at a hopper is to start with putting some water and cleaning agent in the actual main tank, then purging it back through the hopper, rather than putting the cleaning agent through the hopper and into the sprayer. Because if I do that, I'm only going to force more dirty material into the sprayer. If I reverse it back through the drum rinsing nozzle and fill the hopper from the main tank with the cleaning agent and then drop it to the ground, I've actually made the sprayer a little bit cleaner before I go into a full decontamination process. So I'll just pull the hopper down. So when we're decontaminating the hopper, we want to cycle all the systems, all the taps, run cleaning agent through it, any of these pipes and taps, and also activate the drum rinsing nozzle. Once we've purged the hopper, by all means then put the cleaning agent through the hopper as you're filling the tank to get it into the main spray tank. Okay, so when you come up into the lid, you've got around the seal area, and we've got a few ledges and that in here, so just make sure that that's cleaned. It's, the cleaning material actually contacts in there, so our cleaning solution is going to get into there, so we get rid of any residues that could trap here. We want to visually check everything, all returns and agitation is working on the sprayer before we fill it right up. We've also, this sprayer is equipped with some tank rinsing nozzles, and it's critical that they're actually operating as well. Now, you might be able to explain to me, we've got two different options here on our all clear label, whether I've got tank rinsing nozzles or whether I haven't got tank rinsing nozzles.
Well, if you've got internal cleaning nozzles within your tank, you don't need to fill the tank right up. You can come up 2,000-3,000 litres. What we actually say on the label is you need enough water in the tank to run the boom for about 30 minutes.
Yep.
So flushing for about 30 minutes. So if you've got internal sprinklers, you know they're working okay, you don't need to fill the tank right up to the top. However, if you don't have that, to get the full coverage on the whole inside of the tank, you need to fill the tank to the brim and use the rate that's on the label for that. I'd just like to point out, if this was also a second-hand machine that you just bought and you didn't know the cleaning history, I would probably be filling that tank up and let it soak for 24 hours, flushing it out, and then getting there with your gurney anyway and blasting all the hard corners, all the sharp corners, and make sure it's perfectly clean. So both, you know you're starting with a clean machine.
Yeah, and the beauty of the formulation of this is it can sit there. It's not going to settle out and create some other issue.
You can sit there for 24 hours, for a week or whatever, and it's not going to cause any issues.
It's not going to drop back out of solution.
No, and it's not going to corrode the tank or corrode the fittings. So.
Yep, excellent.
What about our mixing, our pre-mix or a batching machine, as we sometimes call them?
Yeah, well, considering other areas of contamination, this has to be treated exactly the same as that sprayer there. Now, I try and avoid cleaning one of these and then putting it into the sprayer, because all I'm doing is transferring more contaminant into the sprayer. So I tend to clean this and then let this go to ground, so I can get rid of that rinsate that way. Pay particular attention to buckets and jugs. You know, they're a potential cross-contamination. You might have weighed out some Group B stuff and forgot about that, but it's in that jug. You know, it's a potential source. So making sure we activate all the operation of this, including any micromatic fitting areas that may have a dead end trapper chemistry still in them. So flush your micromatic fittings, flush any of the hoses you're using to come out of IBC, pellets and so forth. Using our All Clear in here is going to be great to get this thing clean.
Thanks for watching the All Clear DS video tutorial. Looking for further information or the latest list of products All Clear DS removes from spray equipment? This and more can be found on the Agnova website under All Clear DS General Agnote. Remember, a good spraying program begins with a clean boom spray and the correct PPE, so don't be caught short this season. All Clear DS, one product, one rate, the most consistent tank and boom cleaner on the market.